What if time didn't move forward? What if you were born with the wrinkles of age and died with the innocence of a newborn? They called it impossible. But one man lived that impossible life. His name was Benjamin Button. This is the story of a man who defied nature, who walked backward through time and discovered the true meaning of life, love, and loss. It all began in 1918 in New Orleans. On the night the Great War ended and another war quietly began between one man and time itself. Abigail Button was in pain, but not from the world she was leaving behind. She was giving birth to a child who would never be like the others. When the baby finally came, the doctor froze. He was looking at a baby with the bones, skin, and face of an 80-year-old man. His father, horrified, screamed that the child was cursed. His mother, too weak to hold him, whispered only one word before her final breath: Benjamin. In fear, the father wrapped the wrinkled baby in a cloth and ran out into the dark. He placed the crying bundle on the steps of a nursing home and vanished into the rain. When morning came, a woman named Quinny found him, a kind-hearted caretaker with eyes full of grace. She looked down at the old baby and smiled. "Lord, you got your ways, don't you?" she said softly. Then she picked him up, kissed his forehead, and decided this child would have a home. And so Benjamin began his life among the dying. In a house where every sunrise meant another goodbye, he learned the first truth of his strange life, that death doesn't to wait for time to make sense. As the years passed, Benjamin grew stronger and younger. He still looked like an old man, but inside he was a curious child. He watched his friends pass away one by one, but never cried. Because even then, something deep inside him understood that everything we love is temporary. Sometimes he'd whisper to himself, "I was born old. Maybe I'll die young." Every step he took was a step toward youth. He learned to walk, to read, to dream. He played cards with the residents, listened to stories of long-forgotten loves. In that house of endings, Benjamin was life itself, moving backward through a sea of goodbyes. And Queenie, his guardian angel, kept reminding him, "Don't matter where you start, baby. The Lord sees how far you go." Years rolled on, and Benjamin's legs grew stronger. He wanted to see the world beyond those walls. One morning, a ship captain named Mike Clark offered him a place on his tugboat. The sea would be his next home. On the open waters, Benjamin learned about freedom, adventure, and time. He didn't know where his body was heading, but he knew where his heart wanted to go forward. He saw sunsets that burned gold, waves that whispered secrets, and people who lived every day like it was their last, because for them it was. While others were losing time, Benjamin was gaining it. And yet, the more he grew younger, the older his soul became. He fell in love once, a fleeting, secret love with a married woman on the docks. It was gentle, impossible, and short-lived. Like everything in his life, it began at the wrong time and ended before it could begin. And still, he kept moving, younger in face, older in heart. When he returned to New Orleans, the nursing home was quieter now. Fewer faces, fewer stories. And that is when he met Daisy, a little girl with fire in her eyes and a soul that seemed to know him. She was just a child, but Benjamin felt a strange connection, as if time had hidden their destinies on opposite ends of the same string. As the years passed, she grew up and he grew down, but somewhere in the middle, their timelines began to meet. She became a dancer light, free, unstoppable, and he was learning to walk without a cane, to laugh, to love, to live. He didn't know what love meant yet, but every time Daisy smiled, the world stopped aging for a moment. He would wait years for that feeling to make sense. Because when time moves in reverse, love moves in mystery. And then came the day when they met again, not as a child and an old man, but as two souls in perfect symmetry. He looked 40. She was 30, and for the first time, they belonged to the same moment. They danced in the moonlight, laughed through the rain, and whispered promises neither time nor death could keep. For a brief heartbeat in eternity, Benjamin and Daisy lived in the same rhythm. But even as they held each other, time was quietly untying the knot. For a while, time forgot about them. Benjamin and Daisy moved through life as if the world had stopped ticking. They traveled, they danced, they dreamed, but time never forgets. The mirror was the first to betray them. Every morning Benjamin saw a younger face, and Daisy saw an older one. Their love stood still, but their bodies refused to. They had a daughter, a beautiful girl with Daisy's eyes. For a moment, Benjamin thought he had outrun his curse. But he knew what was coming. One night, he watched Daisy sleep beside their child, and he understood the cruelest truth of love, that sometimes staying means hurting the ones you love most. Don't you want her to remember me as a boy when she becomes a woman? Before the sun rose, he left a note, a photograph, and a kiss on the door. Then he walked away toward a future that would erase him. He traveled as his face grew younger and his memories grew older. He saw the world through eyes that had seen too much and a heart that beat backward. He wrote letters to his daughter every year, letters she would never read until after he was gone. I hope you have a life you love, and if you don't, I hope you find the strength to start over. The world is only as beautiful as you choose to see it. He grew younger until the world no longer recognized him. And then he disappeared. Years later, Daisy returned to the place where their story began. And there he was, a boy, perhaps 12, with familiar eyes and a quiet smile. He did not remember her, but his soul did. It's me, Benjamin. I'm here now. She took care of him as he slipped back through time, teenager, child, toddler. Every day, his words became simpler, his eyes more innocent. And then, one evening, she held him in her arms, a baby with no wrinkles, no fears, no memories. He looked at her one last time and smiled. They say we live forward and understand backward. Benjamin lived both ways and understood it all. He taught us that time isn't an enemy. It's a mirror. It shows us what we love, what we fear, and what we're willing to lose to feel alive. No matter how we age, the heart doesn't count years. It counts moments. Moments of laughter, of love, of simply being. From wrinkled hands to tiny fingers, from loneliness to love, Benjamin Button was proof that every ending is just another beginning. Maybe we're all like Benjamin, trying to find meaning while time slips through our hands. We start helpless, grow restless, learn, love, and then return to innocence. A circle beautiful, fragile, and complete. So live fully, forgive quickly, love deeply. Because in the end, we're all traveling the same road, just in different directions. Some stories move forward in time, and some move our hearts backward. If this story touched your soul, subscribe for more tales that remind you to live, to love, and to remember. Because life can only be understood backward, but it must be lived forward.